Early carriers had a problem. Planes couldn't land. The pilots circled the ship several times but couldn't find a suitable spot. In the end, they had to land in the sea and use winches to recover them. Obviously, this was not practical for ships in combat. To land on a ship, you need a very long deck, so the engineers built the 28,000-ton Ark Royal. When they started building it, the engineers intended to have a forward and an aft deck for airplanes to take off and land, but the difficulty of landing was a great test for pilots. In August 1917, Royal pilot Edwin Dunning successfully landed his plane on a moving ship. A week later, he tried again and plunged headlong into the sea. Dunning proved that it was possible to land on a ship, so the engineers went back to work on the design of the carrier. They were going to move the islands to the sides of the ship, leaving room for a runway in the center, but the length between the two islands was almost as long as an airplane wing. This would have put enormous psychological pressure on the pilots. In the end, the engineers decided to give up one of the islands and place it on the starboard side of the carrier, but the carrier would be tilted to the right, so they filled the port side of the carrier with fuel to try to balance the carrier from side to side. But as the fuel was used, the port side slowly lost weight and the carrier began to tilt to the starboard side, so they tried to move the entire hangar to the port side, leaving an empty space. But as the crew filled the space with equipment, the carrier began to tilt to starboard again, so the engineers finally decided to extend the port hull outward and place heavy machinery on the port side to balance the carrier. After 20 years of trial and error, mankind finally had the first true aircraft carrier in history. The Ark Royal, launched in 1937, was the mother of all modern aircraft carriers. Her appearance set the template for a clear direction for all subsequent carrier designs.